Hey, I just wanted to send you a quick video of what I do for edges, because I think that well, there's a few things that I think that would be easy for you to do to up your game a little bit. I can see, looking at the last project that you did, that you use uh, an edge beveler like this on your edges. So after I cut my edges with a knife, I'll go over the edges that need finishing with an edge beveler. This is I prefer these really thin small ones for most of the time. I have one even smaller than this, and then I have a really big one for the heavy projects that I do. So I'm just going to work on these three different edges here, different ways. You can do the underside too if you need to. After you sew them together and finish the edge, get them even, you can do this. You can glue them together and sew them and then cut, or if it's already pretty close, you can after they're together, you can sand them. If it's this, we'll pretend this is like a single flap, so we're not going to do anything else to this one. But first thing I'll do is, if they're rough, I'll take a piece of for me, heavy sandpapers like this one is 240, and I'll go over and smooth out the edges with something like this. This one doesn't really need that, so I'll go straight to a higher one, 400, or in this case this is 600, just whatever I happen to have laying around. And for me, what works is to get them really nice and smooth is just to go one direction. A lot of people will do this, but I find that starts to it adds a little bit more work than you need to. If you just go one way, you'll start laying over those fibers and everything will get nice and smooth. Oops, I'm trying to do this with my phone here, so let me do that to the other ones too. I do this after I round over the corner, because you're actually cutting it again, and you're going to get really nice smooth edges if you do it in this order. So these three, notice I'm just pulling to me. You can push it towards you, or sometimes the leather fibers will like to go one way better than the other, like a fur on a cat, and you just have to play with it a little bit. You can see there's a little bit of fuzz on the bottom of this because there's fuzz on the back. There's ways you can lay down that too, but I'm not going to mess with that at the moment. We're just going to do the best we can here. Okay, so that's that. The next thing I'm going to do is actually burnish. And I could use just the handle of my burnisher. Let me use a different burnisher just to show you that it doesn't have to be a fancy tool. This is one. And you can use water along the edge here, and then use the burnishing tool, and then I finish up with a canvas cloth. The denim works really good, old pair of jeans or something, or canvas works really good for me. I think that I saw that you had some of this gum trag, so if you have this works really well. The best stuff of all is called Tokonol. It's a Japanese product. And all that I do is I put a little bit on my finger, whatever it is, water or Tokonol or whatever. You don't have to get fancy with what you apply it with. And you just want to put a little bit on. If you get too crazy with it, you'll get this on the show face of whatever your leather is. And then if you try to dye it or finish it in some way, it can show. Not the end of the world, because oil will eventually go under there, but it doesn't. Okay, so what I'm using is just the inside rounded part of a tool here, and just like I was with the sandpaper, I'm just oopsie. Looks like I stopped my my video there. Let me get rid of that little board. I had this down here because when I do the edge, that needs to be kind of on a firm surface. So, well, we'll leave this out here because there's one other thing that I can do. But all I'm doing is rubbing this. You can rub it both ways. I find that I like it best if I just go one direction. And that gets pretty smooth right away, but you can feel that I've brought back almost like a burr here. So what I will do is I'll put it back on my firm surface and just go over the top of the edge with my tool again. And that kind of lays it down, and it's starting to feel really nice about now. You can see that it's looking good too. But there's more. We can do a little bit more to it. So next I have a piece of canvas. This is the same little piece of canvas I've used on every single project I've ever done. That's why it's so mucky looking, but it still works just as good. And once again, I'm going this way. The other thing that you can do is get it in there, and you can go both ways with this. I put it in a little bit and move it back and forth, and what it's doing is it's generating some heat when I do that, and it's kind of weird. I don't know why this works so well, but it really does a trick for me. Let's try it again. I'll show you something else that I can do. You can dye the edge. What I have here is just a refillable marker. I got it from Ledermacher. You might be able to find them on online too. And I just filled this one full of black dye. It's the same dye I put on anything else. And after I've done beveling the edges, I'll just use it. Now you can do this with a Q-tip or a wool dauber or any of the other little tools that you use, but I find this works really well as far as getting everywhere perfectly where I want the dye to be. Once I do it flat on there, you can see that I tilt it a little bit and do make sure I get the part that I oops, and you can see right there I kind of went over a little bit. That'll never come out, so you have to be careful with that, but that kind of looks kind of nice. And then I just go over with my same process that I did. We'll start with my little 600 sandpaper. My one direction. And you'd think that you should do your dyeing after this, but I find that if I do it before, it works just fine. If I need to sand a lot or if I need to cut something, I can always touch it up a little bit later. I'll touch it up before I put some gumtrag or some tokonol, or you can use water too. Well, just to show you, what I'll do with this one is I'm going to use spit for my mouth. Hold on. That's just, I licked my finger. And so we're going to do it just with that. And I'm going to burnish now with my little tool handle. It can be anything, any tool you got that has a shape that you like. A little bit tighter of a cove works really nice on something like this. That's so you can buy these things made, or you could turn one on your lathe. And that's all it takes. The other thing that you can do if you want is some people put beeswax on there, and that's what this is. This is just a little block of beeswax for kind of an edge finishing. This works really nice. We'll put some beeswax on there, and then I'll use my little canvas cloth. I find that here, only every once in a while do I find it trouble going back and forth, and I'll just go one way with it at the very end maybe. But this one seems to be looking really good. I don't know if you can see that, but that's really, really neat effect there. I have another, I'll show you how quick that is. I'll do it again. I have another one. This one I have some brown dye in. And I quit using any specific kind of edge coat or any special edge dye. They're supposed to be flexible, but I feel that they build up too much, and this just soaks nicely into the leather and does everything that it needs to. There's 3 different ways to do it here. I'm just going after it. Just takes a second. A little bit of, let's use gum trag again on this one. See if there's a difference. And when I'm doing a big edge, like on the project that you just finished, I might just do one edge at a time. I'll put it on there. I don't like it to be too wet. I just let it dry and let it kind of rub it in a little bit. And then while it has all the fibers all moist and stuff in there, I'll start using it. But if you let it dry, that doesn't quite have the same effect, I've found. So if you do too long of an edge, you might get ahead of yourself that way. So just do a little bit until your finger runs out. Do that part and then move on to the next one. And then when you're done, then you can wax it all, or give it one more little final polish, however you want to do it. So just to put it down, this is what I'm doing. And the only reason I'm doing this little step here is because I can feel that. It's like a burr. And I'm just pushing it back down. Yeah, that looks really good. And I noticed that either this dark brown or this black work good on any kind of edge, no matter what color leather you have. If you're dyeing your leather, you can use whatever color you dyed the rest of it with. That makes a really nice look. It matches. But it also looks good if you put a black edge on brown, or even on this this natural veg tan look. And I'm not pushing down very hard. I'm just trying to get it get it warmed up with some friction there. So I'm not deforming it at all. If you use too much pressure, and that same goes with the burnisher. If you're using too much, if you're pushing down on it, you can deform the leather a little bit too much, and that's probably why I'm getting that little burr on there, is because of the way it works. It does the work all by itself. You're just dragging it across there a little bit. Very little pressure. And that's all that I do. It's not perfect. It gives me kind of a little bit of a matte finish. Sometimes I often won't use that wax. I'll just finish with the tokenol. But you can see all of them. This one is starting to dry up a little bit. So it's starting to look like the rest of it. They're all very, very nice edges for finishing. They give it a nice completed look. Hope that helps.